Hello and welcome to the Grumpy Sound Guy Show. This week we are going to talk about equipment maintenance, the importance of equipment maintenance, and when things fail, because things will fail. Check this out. The members just got a whole hour-long video of this nasty little fella that just came out of one of my JBL 715s, SRX 715s. It happens, dude. It's like owning a race car. When you race it down the track at the red line, every week, you are eventually going to break it. And we're not really up against the red line per se every week, but these speakers see a lot of traffic. So that's going to be the topic of today's show. We're just going to kind of talk about equipment repair and the things you should be doing and all that kind of jazz. So stick around. You don't want to miss a second of today's show. Hey guys, if I could just have a moment of your time to talk to you about this channel. 49.8% of you guys watching this right now is not subscribed to this channel. Will you please hit that subscription button? It doesn't cost anything to subscribe to the channel on the public side here. And then that gives us tools and resources and for my marketing team to be able to do what we need to do to get this content out to people who really enjoy this sort of thing. The other thing is, if you're super digging this and you'd like a deeper look into my world, then subscribe to the paid side of the YouTube channel. You can join for about the cost of a cup of coffee a month, and then I do vlogs over there. I post content that never goes public, and I let you into my world. I let you into the CLP audio world, and I let you see what our day-to-day life looks like. Love you guys. Thank you for the support. Hello and welcome back. So the members, the paid members on the other side of the YouTube channel, just got a whole step-by-step video on the teardown of that, a whole explanation of why that happened, and how that happens, and how it was not the fault of the guy that was running sound that night, but these sort of things happen over time and that sort of thing. So even though you just watched or fast-forwarded through the plug to subscribe to the channel, because like 48% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. It's free, dude. What are you waiting on? I mean, if you enjoy the content, hit it. You know what I'm saying? And don't give me a hard time about double tapping the ad, because you guys obviously aren't hearing what's going on there, because the numbers ain't changing. Nevertheless, paid guys get all those kind of inside things. It's the price of a cup of Starbucks coffee per month. I mean, really? How are you going to tap into this kind of knowledge? We talk about reconing. We talk about whether to replace with a new driver versus reconing. There's a whole super cool conversation there that you're not going to see if you're not a member. But I digress. Let's talk about equipment maintenance. So every year I pull in these big boxes right here behind me are all my movers, my moving lights. They are Chauvet Intimidator. I think 6 of them are 360s and 4 of them are 355s. Great DJ level, but great bright movers that we use with all our stuff, and our customers absolutely love them. But I take those things completely apart every year, take the covers off of them, clean all the fans out, blow all the dust out of them, because those things are bad for getting clogged up with dust and getting overheated and burning out the LED board in it and that sort of thing, or the circuitry that controls the LED light, the illumination part of it. So there's one thing that we do. You need to be going through. I just had the racks out last week when we did the video last week or the week before, one or the other, where I take compressed air. Excuse me, and allergies are absolutely kicking my rear end right now. They really are. Yeah, so we take compressed air, we take all the filters out of the amps, blow all the amps out from each direction, We do the inlet direction first, and then we do back and forth, especially if there's anything coming out of them. We just keep blowing on them until everything's out of them. Do the same thing around the control rack where the M32C and DL32 stage box is. Look at the fans on the back of those units and make sure that they are clean and not full of dust. Man, especially when you get out here on some of these day festivals, it's in a gravel parking lot or something. Man, the dust level just goes through the roof. It's absolutely crazy. And then if you get a big crowd in front of the stage stomping their feet, that makes it even worse. My God, had to literally stop the video to have a coughing fit and get all the pollen out of my throat. Nevertheless, go through all that. Right now, as we speak, this isn't the only thing that's coming out of the trailer for repair this week. I also have a light stand and a bolt fell out of the where the crank is, their crank stands. So it's all lopped sideways. We're going to have to, get another bolt in that thing this week. We'll probably put like some blue Loctite or something on them bolts when we put them back in this time. But yeah, that's got to be done. We got a sub cabinet that is rattling a little bit where one of the handles are, and it's just where two pieces of wood come together inside the sub box. There's going to have some screws put in it from outside the sub box to kind of solve that. It's about time to rotate all these subs because I have 8 of these, and I usually try to rotate them around so that they're all kind of getting the same level of time, getting the same amount of time on them, and we're spreading out the workload across the inventory. So that's got to be done. My cable trunks, the wheels on my cable trunks are starting to act like complete fools. Thankfully, I need to double check, but I'm pretty sure I have a couple sets of wheels back here, brand new in the box that I had bought a while ago that will fix that problem. So it's a matter of tearing them down, replacing the wheels, going through the boxes, kind of taking a look at everything. Might put a paint job on them, that sort of thing. They can maybe use a little help that way. So yeah, and then the other thing is mic stands. I use these DM Pro, something other. It's the Guitar Center Musician's Friend, kind of. It's the only place you can find the stands. I think they're better than K&M's. A lot of guys use K&M's, but these I just think are made better, man. They just really are. But the only issue with them is where you have the little screw with the ear on it that you loosen to move the telescoping into the stand. Those things the plastic things tend to break off. So what I did was I got on eBay and I found some T-bolts, that are actually made 1,000 times better than what comes on the stand. And I just bought a gaggle of those, and whenever they start coming off or whatever, I start replacing them with those T-bolts. And there's 2 different lengths. There's one length that's long for the bottom, and then there's another length that is for the telescoping part of the boom. So that's kind of sort of what is going on with that. And then that pretty much makes those stands pretty indestructible for the most part. I mean, no mic stand is indestructible, believe me. I used to run sound for this cute little blonde that couldn't have been more than about 110 pounds, if that. And she was the most destructive mic stand person I've ever met in my life. Shout out to Ashley Marie if you're watching. And she knows it. I came to work one night and she had bought a new mic stand and put a bow on it for me to kind of replace the 2 or 3 she had already broken at the venue. Of course, it was the wrong type of mic stand, and it was of less quality than the one we had, but it was the thought that counts. We all kind of had a laugh about it. It wasn't the end of the world. She's a wonderful person, and I mean, the mic stands that she broke, they'd paid for themselves 1,000 times over. So I wasn't necessarily going to make a big deal out of it, especially since she made an effort to replace it. But nevertheless, yeah, that's kind of what we got going on there. I usually go through all my power distros and put a screwdriver on each connection and make sure they're all still tight. I do the same thing. I'm using input plates on the amp rack, which you probably seen last week if you watched that episode, or the week before, whenever it was when we were into that. We took the members deep dive into both those racks and actually showed you exactly how all that stuff works. But those input plates come back and go into the banana inputs on the amp, and those things work themselves loose all the time. So I'm probably 4 or 5 times a year I'm back there and retightening those and making sure that they're staying tight, and that sort of thing. This stuff is in cases that get rattled around constantly when you're moving it, so stuff comes loose. Remind yourself of that. Remember that everything, if you're somebody like me who's doing 180, 200 shows a year, that's 180, 200 load-ins a year, load-outs a year. So this gear is, every time you bump up over a door seam or, some little indentation in the floor or in and out of the truck is always, rattling around, that you're rattling those things around inside the, inside the rack. So the stuff in the rack will absolutely come loose. And then the other thing, and this is the thing that I see guys miss most, is you need to do maintenance to the vehicle or the trailer that you're hauling this stuff down the road with. Because the reality of it is, I can't tell you how many guys who don't grease the axles on their equipment trailers. They don't replace the tires in a timely manner. They don't keep up with the lights on the trailer and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's all part of what we do in hauling and transporting gear around. And let's face it, without this equipment, how are you getting to and fro the gig? How are you getting, your gear where it can make you money, and that sort of thing. I have a box truck and 2 enclosed trailers, and the stage, which is basically built on a trailer frame and chassis and all that jazz. So, maintenance is a big deal, man. I just pulled the caps off of the stage axles and greased them the other day, last week actually. I've done the same thing with the 6x12, which is the one we use mostly for for like the club level stuff. And then the box truck has the festival rig in it for the most part. And yeah, I mean, right now the box truck needs ignition tune-up. I got all the parts to do it. It's a matter of finding the time to do it, or I'm just going to take it back to my brother and let him do it. It needs ignition tune-up, fuel filter, flasher relay needs to be replaced, rear axle fluid needs to be changed, and there is a pinion seal leaking in the front of the axle. That's a $12 seal that needs to be changed. All that stuff has got to be done, man. If you expect to take this equipment out and do the things that we need to do with it, then maintenance is a big part of that deal. I see guys regularly who do not maintain their equipment. They're looking for a quick buck. They get into the business and they spend a bunch of money and buy a bunch of new equipment. And then, they come out of the gate strong. Everybody loves them. All their stuff's working just fine. You fast forward 3 or 4 years down the pike, now their equipment's starting to fall apart. And this business, the budgets are so tight. So, I mean, in this business, you have to be super, super careful, about doing this maintenance little by little by little. Otherwise, it's going to absolutely, break you. Because if you let it all pile up on you to where now you have 20 things that need to be done, then you struggle to find the money to do all that repair stuff or replace equipment or buy equipment that will keep you relevant, in the scene and that sort of thing. Man, you guys hear me talk all the time on here about, tight budgets and how tough it is to, try and keep things where they need to be in this business. Doing preventive maintenance is the one thing that is within your control and can really, really help you, make money consistently moving forward. And it keeps your systems working. Like, I have bands that I originally, like new bands, a lot of them will, I'm trying to say this in an intelligent way, and I have no master of the English language. So I have new bands that will come to me a lot of times, and after the second or third gig together, they're kind of like, we're amazed at how you never have any problems with your sound system or with your rig. And I'm like, well, I mean, we spend a lot of time in the shop doing preventive maintenance. We spend a lot of time trying to keep up with the gear, trying to keep everything running, and doing all the things that we need to do to keep moving forward. The equipment will not maintain itself. And it's like I said earlier, it's like owning a race car. If you're going to run the thing, down the track every week, you're going to break it. It's only a matter of time. When I pulled this driver apart earlier, today, and looking at this catastrophic mess, I'm not surprised. It wasn't the engineer's fault that was mixing. I mean, that didn't happen in one gig. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that happened over a course of time, of driving the thing and driving the thing and driving the thing and doing what we do, I'm not mad about it. It's all part of the cost of doing business. Are you going to do it, or are you just going to bellyache and complain about how gear don't last? And let me tell you something. Here's some insider information that most people are not going to tell you. All of these plastic boxes that are now all the rage, with plate amplifiers, heat sink cooled plate amplifiers on the back of them. They don't even have internal fans on them. Those things have a lower life expectancy than any of the passive wooden boxes that I use. I was at a gig just the other day and grabbed one of my 715s and threw it up on a stand, and I looked at the guy next to me and I was like, seeing everybody talks about the ease of line array deployment, how much easier can you deploy a speaker than what I just did with that? That thing weighs 47 pounds. I'm a big guy. I don't have any problem lifting it up. I got a guy that works for me that's 145 pounds, picks it up all the time. This older passive gear, as much as you new guys want to hate on it, will outlast all this new stuff that's on the market 1,000 times over. This speaker that voice coil came out of, this thing is no less than probably 20, 25 years old. If I had to guess, I'm going to say this is the first driver failure that this speaker has had. The guy that I got these speakers from was just doing corporate work, talking head stuff. I've had them for 5, 6 years. I'm the one who has probably done this damage to them just by using them. Because here's what happens. If one of these little coils like that, if just one of those come loose and start grounding out on the magnet, well, we all know what happens when you touch the positive and negative terminals on your car battery. It sparks. That's the same thing that happens here. Then it welds itself to the magnet, and then it's pulling the voice coil toward it, and that's how you end up with the Grand Canyon in the side of your voice coil. It happens, dude. It just happens. These speakers have paid for themselves 1,000 times. Trust me. I'm not gonna be upset over the $700 or $800 that I'll have to put into them to get them redone. Yeah, they have made me thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars over the years. They're easy to deploy. They sound decent as long as you can EQ the JBL out of them, which is what I do. They're hammering on. I've got a EAW 850 rig up in my 16-foot enclosed trailer that's probably 30 years old, 35 years old. And I can take that rig out to any outdoor gig tomorrow and just melt the skin off your skull. I mean, the rig is just so incredibly dependable, and incredibly durable, And that's how all this SRX, JBL stuff is, the passive stuff. So that's why I use it. My clients like it. No one complains about it. I've never once had somebody come to me and say, man, your rig would sound so much better if you had an L Acoustics or a D&B rig. Well, yeah, duh. But, we're on a $1,200 gig here, not a $110, $110,000, gig, we're not on the beach in Ocean City this weekend doing boardwalk rock, which I just seen pictures of that. That's going on right now as we speak. And there must have been 20, 30,000 people at that show. I am so happy to see that kind of, support for a show like that. But just goes to show you the old boys like Def Leppard and, Bret Michaels and, all this kind of Extreme, was on that bill. I can't even remember all the bands. They had it was a cattle call weekend of all your favorite 80s bands. And it's killing, dude. It's killing. It's so encouraging to see that kind of thing going on. But I gave you that for free because we're off topic. The other mistake, I'm going to leave you with this. is if you have an enclosed trailer, make sure you're carrying a spare tire. Yeah, I worked for a corporate band for 3.5 years who pulled a 16-foot trailer and then pulled a 12-foot trailer, a 6x12. Not once did they ever carry a spare tire. And I warned them about it and warned them about it and warned them about it. Sure enough, one day we're up in the middle of Pennsylvania somewhere, you heading to a casino gig, and we lose a tire. It cost, and this has been close to 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it cost the band $500 for someone to come out along the road and replace that trailer tire and get us back on the road. Plus, it cost us 3-4 hours of travel time. So then when we finally did get to the gig, it was all hands on deck, whatever, man. It was a complete chaotic mess trying to get up and going. We did get up and going and everything was fine. We made it through the gig just fine. But, the reality of it is it's way cheaper to just go to your local tire shop and have them put, trailer tires on your trailer every year or every other year, depending on how much you use it. If you'll purchase rims that you can get like car tires on, like radial car tires on, that's a trick about enclosed trailers. Then your tires will last you 4 or 5 years. Instead of having to replace them every year, you'll replace them every 4, 5, 6 years, something like that. Especially if you get really good tires like Michelin's or Bridgestone's or something like that. And that's what I have on my 6x12. On my 16-foot, I have regular trailer tires on that. And that trailer doesn't go out near as much as it used to. But when I was pulling that trailer out, for every gig, we were putting a set of tires on it every year. And that is, I don't know, $1,000 worth of tires or $800 worth of tires, something like that, $700. I don't even remember right now. But if you can get regular radial tires on your trailer, those tires will outlast the bias ply tires that trailer tires are made of 1,000 times over. So that's a little trick for you, to kind of help you save some money that way. It might cost you a couple extra bucks to get a little bit of a wider rim to be able to get a radial tire on. But just buy steel wheels. Steel wheels are like $60 a piece, $70 a piece, and then buy a good set of like Michelin, like small SUV tires or larger car tires, that sort of thing. 15 inch is usually what they are, and then man, you're good to go, man, and you'll really get some time out of your trailer that way. Your stuff is only as good as you make it. If you choose to take care of the stuff and to do all the things that you should be doing to keep your systems working right, to keep your transport stuff working correctly, man, that's half the battle. Because there's so many things in this business that's out of your control, that's going to rear its ugly head, and it's going to, smack you in the rear end. At least try to manage the things that are within your control. Does that make sense? Because that's where we really need to be. We really need to be in that frame of mind, in that place where, we're making sure everything's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing all the time. I love you guys. I'll see you next week.